say it now, hopefully, without making everyone shift around uncomfortably. The horrific death of George Floyd on a Minnesota street, crime for his mother, at the hands of the people whose sworn job it was to protect them, quite rightly ignited a global movement. This isn't some distant problem, though. The UK is not innocent, and Wandsworth is not without fault. Colin Roach, the New Cross 13, Joy Gardner, Cynthia Jarrett, Stephen Lawrence, Damilola Taylor, Christopher Order, Frank Oburu, Mark Duggan, Sean Rigg, Smiley Culture, Billy Majinga. Racism killed all of these people. None of them died on American soil. I didn't say racists killed the people I just named. I said racism did. We can all spot individual cases of racism, the snarling-lipped, Sieg-heiling crossburner or the vicious tattooed thug in hobnail boots, but the systemic stuff is much more destructive and much harder to root out. I grew up on Wandsworth Council estates in the 70s and 80s, and on one sunny day in 1984, I was crossing Putney Bridge Road, feeling sort of proud of myself because I had a new Sergio Tacchini tracksuit. A van pulled up, racist names were shouted, a huge glob of spit landed on my new top. It was disgusting and it really upset me at the time, but that individual case of racism pales compared to the systemic, embedded racism that you can't move away from and your mum can't wash off. The systemic racism saw me stopped at least 100 times between the ages of 12 and 26, mainly on Wandsworth streets. It saw me turn out my pockets and submit to humiliating public searches while people looked on and made judgments about my character. I wasn't some sort of tearaway. I've never been arrested or given a caution. I don't even have points on my driving licence. I just lived in the wrong area and in the wrong skin. As we're in this civil rights moment, I'm talking about anti-black racism. I stand foursquare behind Asian, Muslim, Jewish, LGBTQ, Gypsy, Roma, traveller communities, anyone facing discrimination. Our journeys are often similar and our solidarities are invaluable. But right now, at this moment, I'm talking about anti-black racism. In today's Britain, having black skin still means your experience is likely to be worse no matter which part of British society you interact with. At school, you're 26% less likely to do well and 1.7 times more likely to be excluded. You're then half as likely to go to university. If you make it through education, you'll be 3 times as likely to be unemployed. If you get a job, you'll be paid 5 to 10% less than your co-workers in most parts of Britain. 21.7% less in London, worth pointing out. When you leave to go home, you're 9 to 26 times more likely to be stopped by the police. You're 3 times more likely to then be arrested. If you're convicted, your sentence will be 10 months longer. I'm 51 years old, and most of these statistics have hardly moved in my lifetime. We can point to individual black success, but the general story for black communities in the UK is a depressing one. I applauded Wandsworth Council for turning the building purple in support of Black Lives Matter and the worldwide struggle for human rights. I also applaud the council's plans for a long overdue statue commemorating the first black mayor in Britain, Labour's Pan-Africanist, John Archer. These are symbols and monuments. Symbols are important, but we must never confuse them with real change. Change is hard. It takes bravery. It can be messy. Ultimately, we need equal opportunities, not photo opportunities. We need monumental change, not just a change in monuments. The motion Councillor Akinola brought today was not going to end systemic racism, but it would have been a starting pistol. Centuries of inbuilt racism are not going to be wiped away with one motion. So I'm extremely disappointed that the party opposite have seen fit to water down the motion to the point where it's meaningless. Now is not the time for backslapping and platitudes. The amended motion has no real actions or suggestions, and the party opposite has no real interest in tackling racism in our borough. I'm sorry to say it. Wandsworth needs to dedicate itself to rooting out racism in schools, the benefit system, housing, healthcare, the way we police our streets, the way we reward our workers. We need to look inwards. Okay, I've got one more sentence. From Tooting Bec to Battersea Park, the US Embassy, King George's, the Broadway to the Alton, the streets are talking, and I beg Wandsworth Council to listen.
Thank you.